Before there were stars, before there were worlds, there was Galan of Ta. He lived in the last days of the previous universe, a golden age on the brink of collapse. When the cosmos began to die, Galan's ship was pulled into the heart of the Big Crunch. But instead of perishing, he merged with the sentience of the universe itself and was reborn when the new cosmos exploded into being. From that birth came Galactus, the devourer of worlds. His hunger was endless, his power unmatched. To survive, he consumed entire planets, absorbing their life force to keep himself alive. But he wasn't pure evil. Galactus believed his existence was a balance to the universe, destroying some worlds so others could flourish. The twist? In some futures, Galactus doesn't end the universe. He becomes its savior, standing against forces even more terrible than himself. Subscribe if you didn't know the origin of Marvel's most feared cosmic force. Imagine a Silver Surfer, but not Norrin Radd. Shalla-Bal was the love of his life on Zen-La until Galactus came. Norrin became the surfer to save her world. But in one reality, fate twisted. Instead of Norrin, Shalla-Bal took the power cosmic. She became the Silver Surfer, soaring across the stars not as a herald of destruction, but as a defender of life. Her board carved streaks of light through the void, her heart carrying both the weight of the cosmos and the memory of the man she loved. She fought tyrants, cosmic storms, even stood before Galactus himself. But the real battle was inside, holding on to compassion when infinite power could turn anyone cold. The twist? As the Silver Surfer, Shalla-Bal discovered the truth Norrin never did. Sometimes the hardest world to save is your own. Because when she returned to Zen-La, it had already forgotten her. Subscribe if you didn't know this version existed. Stardust isn't just another Marvel cosmic hero. They're a living storm of destruction, and the only Herald of Galactus that might be more terrifying than the Devourer himself. Before Stardust, Galactus had heralds like Silver Surfer. Powerful, yes, but with a conscience. Stardust was different. They were born in an interdimensional torrent of energy, a being of pure plasma who saw entire civilizations as nothing more than fuel. When Galactus offered them the power cosmic, they didn't hesitate, they embraced it. Their mission? Seek out worlds for Galactus to consume. No mercy, no second thoughts. And when enemies stood in their way, Stardust didn't just destroy them, they obliterated them on a molecular level. But here's the twist. Stardust once betrayed Galactus himself, leading him into a trap that nearly ended the Devourer's reign. A herald powerful enough to defy Galactus? That's Stardust. Subscribe for more Marvel Snap stories and the legends behind your favorite cards. He was a tyrant long before Galactus found him. On the planet Burge, Tyros ruled with an iron fist, using his mastery over stone to crush anyone who defied him. His cruelty caught the attention of the Devourer of Worlds. Galactus gave him the power cosmic, amplifying his control over rock and earth until he could rip entire continents into the sky. As Terrax the Tamer, he became one of Galactus's most ruthless heralds, scouting planets and slaughtering resistance before his master arrived. But Terrax had one fatal flaw: he never truly feared Galactus. Time and again, he defied orders, turned on allies, and tried to carve out his own empire. The twist? His arrogance cost him everything. Galactus stripped him of his power, leaving him broken, yet somehow, Terrax always finds a way back, because some tyrants refuse to stay buried. Subscribe if you didn't know this Herald story. They said the Herald of Galactus, who wielded 2 cosmic swords, was a myth, but they were wrong. Redshift tore open rifts in space itself to trap worlds. One moment you saw the stars, the next you were staring into the maw of Galactus. He wasn't just a messenger, he was a hunter, slicing through dimensions to serve his master fresh planets to devour. Heroes tried to stop him, but his blades could cut through reality like paper. The truth? Redshift joined Galactus willingly, because he believed feeding the Devourer kept the universe in balance. And here's the twist. When Galactus turned on him, Redshift fought back, proving even the most loyal Herald can rebel. The most dangerous thing about him? He could appear anywhere, anytime. And by the time you saw him, it was already too late. Subscribe if you didn't know this. She was just a woman with a fear of fire, until the day she remembered why. Raye grew up with strange gaps in her memory, but when the truth came back, it hit like a supernova. Her stepfather was the original Human Torch's creator, and he had accidentally given her powers too. She could burn hotter than the sun, but she kept it buried. Until she met the Fantastic Four. One battle, one choice, and she revealed her flames to the world. Then she made an even bolder choice. She asked Galactus to make her his herald. As Nova, she blazed through space, finding worlds for the Devourer. She told herself it was for the greater good that Galactus needed to feed, but deep down, she knew she was picking which civilizations lived and which burned. The twist? She met her end facing the planet-destroying tyrant Morg, proving that even a herald can be consumed by the fire they wield. Subscribe if you didn't know this fiery Marvel story. He wasn't born a herald. He was a soldier who made a deal with a god. Pirius Krill served in the Xandarian Nova Corps, loyal to his people and his best friend, Gabriel Land. When Gabriel vanished, Krill searched across the galaxy only to find him transformed into the Herald Airwalker and dying. In his final moments, Gabriel begged Galactus to spare Krill. The Devourer agreed, but at a price. Krill accepted the power cosmic, his body igniting with flames hotter than a star. He became Firelord, wielding a flaming staff that could incinerate fleets. At first, he served faithfully, finding worlds for Galactus. But deep down, Krill longed for freedom. When Galactus finally released him, Firelord roamed the stars as a wandering warrior, though his temper burned almost as hot as his power. The twist? Even free, Firelord can't escape his past, because once you've served Galactus, the shadow of that hunger never really leaves you. Subscribe if you didn't know this fiery herald story. Before the Silver Surfer. Before any herald you've heard of, there was the Fallen One. He was Galactus's first, chosen not for his nobility, but for his hunger for chaos. Unlike the others, he didn't wield the power cosmic. He commanded dark energy, a force so destructive even Galactus feared it. The Fallen One didn't just find worlds for his master, he destroyed them for sport. He disobeyed orders, slaughtered civilizations, and treated Galactus's commands as suggestions. Eventually, the Devourer had enough and cast him out. Banished, the Fallen One became obsessed with revenge. He hunted Galactus across the universe, each clash shaking entire galaxies. Even Thanos couldn't fully control him, and that's saying something. The twist? Some believe the Fallen One never truly died, that somewhere in the dark between stars, he's still waiting for his chance to finish what he started. Subscribe if you didn't know. Galactus's first herald was this dangerous. Before Firelord, there was the Herald who soared on wings of light. Gabriel Land was a captain in the Xandarian Nova Corps, fearless and devoted to his crew. When Galactus approached, Gabriel didn't run. He offered himself to save his world. The Devourer granted him the power cosmic, transforming him into the Airwalker, a blazing figure who could fly faster than light and summon storms across space. Gabriel served loyally, but deep down, he longed to see his home again. That chance never came. In battle with the Ovoids, Airwalker was mortally wounded. Galactus, unwilling to lose a herald, tried to preserve him by transferring his mind into a robotic body. The twist? The machine had his memories, but not his soul. And without Gabriel's spirit, the Airwalker was just an empty echo of the man who once chose to sacrifice everything. Subscribe if you didn't know this. Forgotten Herald's fate. Imagine Ghost Rider, but with the power cosmic and a machine gun. In one future, Thanos wins. The Punisher, Frank Castle, is the last man alive. Desperate for vengeance, he makes a deal with Mephisto and becomes Ghost Rider. But with no one left to punish, he goes insane until Galactus arrives. Castle offers his soul again, becoming the Herald of Galactus, wielding both Hellfire and the power cosmic. As Cosmic Ghost Rider, he burns across space on a flaming bike, hunting for worlds to feed his master. When Thanos kills Galactus, Castle doesn't stop. He joins Thanos, becomes his right hand, and witnesses horrors beyond imagination. Eventually, he travels back in time to kill baby Thanos, but can't do it. Instead, he tries to raise him, hoping to change fate. The twist? Even with all the power in the universe, Frank Castle learns you can't outrun destiny, especially when you're riding straight into it. Subscribe if you didn't know this Marvel story existed.